what I want. There you are. Trying to get a little bit better.
There you go. See,
Oh
look, I
my
got spicy.
God. You got lipstick and everything in your
I
bangs.
changed my shirt. I know. I fixed my bangs. I have this hot tool I love.
You hot tooled your bangs that quickly?
I did. It heats up in like seconds.
Oh
I pressed it. I went to pee. I came back. It was hot. I curled my bangs. Like that was it. It was awesome.
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh,
So good.
Can't wait to get my hair done. It feels like it's like, yeah. Okay, we don't need to get into that.
Yeah.
Let's just say that it doesn't feel great. Hold on. Let me get over here and mute this so it doesn't echo. All right. I don't want to share to my timeline. I want to share on a page. Marketing Monday. God, I got to get rid of some of these pages in here. I have so many pages. Marketing Monday Mixer. Next.
Do you have the thing from Marie?
I do.
Okay, good. I don't have it in front of me. So,
Okay.
so you're in charge of the title and all of it. What's it called? And the ingredients.
It's called the Funky Bloody Mary.
The Funky Bloody Mary. That's what it was.
Funky Bloody Mary. Okay. So funky. Not funky, funky.
Yeah, be careful.
Okay, go live. Let's do it. We don't need a live producer. Dismiss. I am the live producer.
That's right. It's me. Hey, everyone. Woohoo. We're live on Facebook. It's working.
How come you can always see it before me?
Because I'm looking on the Zoom window.
Oh, my Zoom window takes forever.
No, it says webinars now streaming live on Facebook.
Oh, there
Although
we go.
we're not in a webinar, but hey, whatever.
We can pretend. We can pretend.
That's
okay.
right.
So welcome, everybody. Tracy's back.
That's right. I'm here. Sorry, I missed last week.
She's got her spicy, hot little number on today for our show.
I know it's getting a little early for Cinco de Mayo, but it's just tomorrow. So why not start early?
There you go.
Start spicing things up early.
So Chef Marie shared with us her Funky Bloody Mary mix.
So I think we could start Cinco de Mayo at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Right?
There we go. There we go. It's a breakfast
That's
drink.
right. It's a breakfast drink. We could start early tomorrow.
Very early. So yeah. So I didn't make it, of course, because I don't drink, but it's got vodka, which I know y'all are going to go out and you're going to be boring, and we're going to talk about boring today anyway, but you're going to be boring and go out and do margaritas. If you're really spicy, you'll do some tequila shots. We don't want to hear about it when you're done. I'm really jealous. But this has like a lot of hot sauce in it.
That's right. It does. It does have quite a bit. I was like, do I have enough? I think I might. But, Bloody Mary does have a lot of hot sauce in it.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't had one in ages. So you guys, I hope you went and made it. Let's see, what does it have? Lemon juice, tomato juice, Worcestershire. You know what I'm talking about. That thing I can never spell.
Worcestershire?
Worcestershire. Is that how you say it? I thought it's like Worcestershire.
It depends on where you're from.
Is this like tomato? So it has tomato juice, or Worcestershire,
right.
Or Worcestershire.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It depends on where you're from, I think. But, if you were from, it's like Worcester instead of Worcester, or yeah, that's all Boston stuff, all outside Boston, right? It looks like Worcestershire, but instead of saying Worcester, you would say Worcester. So,
okay.
Hey, depends on where you're from.
And you're from Massachusetts now?
No, I'm from New England, though. I'm a Connecticut girl.
Okay. All right. Yeah, you don't have that accent.
No, that's because I've lived all over the world.
That's true. That is very true.
Right. Yeah, I lost my accent somewhere there. Although I had a guy who once, one of my podcasters, who said, were you here? Did you used to live there? And I was like, yeah, how can you tell? Like, he was that good at sensing all the different dialects that I picked up over the time. Isn't that amazing?
That is. I always make fun of one of my best friends is Canadian. You know her. And she always says process and like every. So I always make fun of her accent. And I grew up with a girl who her father was from Kentucky and her mother was from Australia. Yeah, you never knew what the hell she was saying. No.
Yeah. Okay, so enough about us, guys. We're going to talk about you and some spicy marketing here. But you know what? This is the thing. Look, why are we talking about the same old thing in the same old way? It's starting our shows the same old way every time, right? Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's have some fun. Let's add a little bit of ourselves to things.
Yeah. So I think the first thing I'm going to say to spice this up is quit using pivot. Like we've been in lockdown for 6 weeks. We're tired of pivots.
This from the girl who had a Peas and Pivot Summit.
Yeah, but we had it a month ago when it was cool. Now, no longer cool. No one wants peace. No one wants to pivot. They just want to get out and do something. No.
Fad and fade. So it's already faded.
There you go. It was definitely a fad. But we can talk about those other things, Tracy, that we're seeing. You and I talked about earlier is the webinars, which are good. People are showing up, but you're doing the same old boring things.
Right. You're doing the same old boring things and you're doing it in a way that everyone knows what you're doing. It looks formulaic. So you're not adding some of yourself to it or some of the newness of the topic of the place where you are. So this is what I told somebody this a week ago. I never give the same speech twice. Now, there are aspects of my speeches or like slides or things that you've probably seen before if you see me speak, but I never give it the same way twice. And why is that? It's because I customize it to the audience that I'm going to speak to and to the event. So I'm very sure that I'm giving them something original, something unique every time. And that way, I mean, I have to tell you, people are like, oh, I learned something totally new because they also heard it in a different context, in a different order. And I start to learn the things that work from doing that. I learn the things that engage people back when I say, oh, something's going right with how I'm doing that one. I'm going to use that again. And so I'm learning overall. Now, I've never gotten myself into the situation where I learned so much that I like solidified it into something formulaic. I guess, I don't know. But, you know, that's because in my world, things change fast. In marketing, things change, right? So, but I think that, you know, thinking about that, I mean, spicing it up for us, this is what I'm talking about, is really making it a little bit original, a little bit you all along the way, making sure also to be resonant with that audience. So something that they like.
No, absolutely. So I saw one of the best things I've ever seen last week, and I want to talk about it a little bit. Merrill Chandler had a master class, and he didn't do the, hey, you have to register. Hey, you have to, you know, we're not going to do 5 emails to tell you that, you know, you registered and now it's this time and that. He did it on Facebook Live. And for me, that was so awesome as one of his partners because all I had to go in is share the watch party. Yeah. So think about it. My list is only so big. I only have so much engagement on my list, but I have about 4,500 friends. I know y'all don't like me, but we're friends on Facebook. And if people had time, they were scrolling by and saying, oh, what's he doing? I like that. So why not do something a little bit different? Because you probably have a bigger audience there.
Well, and to me, that's also, we're getting into a place of convenience factor. I don't want to sign up for a webinar and remember to show up at noon on Wednesday. I want to make sure that I do it. I want it right now. Like I just want it right this moment. So if it's shared to me and I see it, I'm going to go check it out. If it's the right moment for me, I'm going to save it for when it's not the right moment for me, at this particular stage, but I'm going to do that. So you're getting yourself an opportunity to just be more conveniently consumed. Right? And if people consume it and they're interested, they're going to want to work with you. All of these blocks and gates are for list makers,
right? People
who are building lists and who really don't care at the end of the day about the engagement of the sale or the sales that come from that list. The bigger list they have, that's their value in the world. So another one that I really hate is the no replays. I can't stand it when if one of them tells me there's going to be no replays, then I'm not going to sign up. Done. not going to sign up anymore. So it's just not going to happen because it just frustrates me. And that happened to us with one of our partners, and I'm furious about it. That I can't stand the idea that now this is happening to my list and my base, that it slipped through the cracks that someone didn't notice that they were going to require that.
So think about that again, though, with the Facebook Live. It's evergreen right there.
Never gonna, it's not gonna be unable to take down, right? You can't stop the replays.
Yeah, exactly.
Why would you want to?
You wouldn't want to, and you'd want to be able to share it. It's convenient. People can go back and watch it. But here's what you can do. If you have a worksheet during that master class or work, put that over where people have to grab it. But here's the other thing. If you're using Zoom and you're inviting people on Facebook or wherever it's at, Zoom has all the tools now that you don't have to go into fancy landing pages. You don't have to do all that. They grab the link, they register with their email address, and they're in. So I think a lot of people are doing a whole lot of work for nothing, number one. And number two, I'm so sick of your drip emails. I don't open them. I don't like them. It's the same thing you were saying 3 years ago, and I'm not impressed.
No, and as you all know, if you watch the show again and again, I'm a fierce unsubscriber. So when you hit me with those drip campaigns, I unsubscribe from you. So this is the case for a lot of people. And if you use the word pivot again, I'm going to now unsubscribe from you. Thanks to Juliet. I'm adding it to my don't list. No. So anyway, but you know what I'm saying? It's like you really have to get in. If you think that you're warming up your list by being the same as everybody else, it's not going to happen.
Right.
They're only going to warm up. They're only going to get to a hot lead if they like you, if they trust you. So here's something else. I had the best interview last week. I want to tell you guys about that. I had the best interview I've ever had. First off, I kind of geeked out a little bit because I admire him. He's a writer that I have read his books, his articles. I follow his newsletter on LinkedIn. He's just, in my mind, he's just got the right mind for me. Like the stuff that he says clicks. It's science and techie enough. Geeky enough, and it's also interesting and conceptual and mind challenging enough, right? Which I don't often get when I read stuff. So I just really like him. Those of you who've watched the show before or seen me on any interview, I probably very often mentioned his book. His name is Shane Snow. My favorite book that I've read in the last decade is Smart Cuts. He has a new book, Dream Teams, which I like just as well. It's very challenging if you're building a team because as I'm like, I may need to do that. I may need to do this, thinking through all those things. So if you're building a team, I check that one out. But I had this great interview with him. It was just, I was interviewing for the Binge Factor. And we just hit it off with this great conversation and rapport. If I had followed a list of questions, if I had followed a formula for how that should go, that would not have happened in that conversation. And by the end, he was sending me referrals. I was sending him referrals. It was just almost an immediate thing. So that trust factor can build really quickly when you make that immediate connection to who you are and what you do, but also when you add that benevolence factor, and that's what he called it. Benevolence, meaning that I'm here for the social good. So by putting something out on Facebook Live, giving it out there freely, just putting it out there on Zoom and just requiring people to they don't have to sign into something complicated. They don't have to get tons of email to get there on the way. But just to do that, to make it simple like that, we're creating a trust from the bottom up. And we're creating a bigger trust factor because I said, look, I'm here doing this for my health right now. I don't know if you guys are going to, buy anything from me or do anything with me, but I'm doing it right now because I believe that this is the best thing for all of you and I want to serve you. That in and of itself is the big core base of building trust right there.
I agree. So let's pivot.
Oh my gosh, we're going to strike it from the
to another word that don't use it anymore. COVID-19. If I see another COVID-19 special, we're doing this because, okay, I ran podcasts. I did podcast interviews this entire time. I wouldn't let any of my guests mention COVID-19. You guys, this is evergreen content. The minute you put COVID-19 in any of your marketing materials, that you put it on any of your videos, any of your content, anything, you have just limited your content ability.
Okay. That being said, though, I do want to caution you because I sent out 5 tweets today, and I never tweet. I hate Twitter. But I sent out 5 tweets because because I thought that was the best place for me to rant and no one would care, right?
Nobody cares because everybody does. That is
Right.
such a toxic platform. Shame
Right.
on
I
you.
thought I'm just going to send out all my negative thoughts and all that stuff. I'm just going to tweet it out today and it'll be out of my system. Well, anyway, I tweeted out. So I got a email today from Facial Works, which I had bought a gift card for Alexandra for her birthday, which was on March 10th. So obviously she never got to use it, but I bought it before, like a week before everything got shut down here in California. And so they sent out this thing saying I had these bonus points and they expire on June 1. Am I going to have time, seeing California's still not out of sequestering, to be able to utilize it before that? So having no caveats to something that's truly relevant and sensitive to your audience, that's a huge miss right there. You missed a marketing opportunity to really make them want to do business with you again. So yeah, that was one of the ones. And then I had annoyed with Avis, and the only one that went well today was Alaska Airlines. Actually gave me my money back. So shock.
Nice. So you're on Twitter.
Okay.
I gave up Twitter a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Well, I have this belief system, and for those that are out there, is that I don't want to be I don't want to not be alive on a platform if you care about it. I don't want you to look there and go, oh, she's not relevant. So I have auto tweets, which I clearly say, though, if anyone read the profile, it says only auto tweeting here. Like, if you want me for real, go to LinkedIn. Like, it says that right in my profile. But at least people see, so if they're looking to see, do you know how to tweet? I know how to tweet, right? I choose not to.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Just making sure there. I actually I had a huge Twitter following from my mystery writing days, and I shut it all down.
Well, it just got worse and worse. Yeah. But the thing is if we don't watch a platform, it could research. You don't know. What's it shift like? Is it interesting? So I check it out, but so far Twitter has not redeemed itself.
It will never redeem itself at all.
Right.
Supposedly,
but it is a good place. It's a really good place to complain.
It is. And supposedly a PAC is putting out some software to kill anybody who disagrees with them. So I don't even know.
Oh no.
So.
No, too far for me.
Too far for me. Yeah.
Well,
so what else? What else is boring?
Well, this is the thing. It's not even just about being boring. It's about being too much of the same, that cookie cutter thing. It makes it so unclear. What I really urge everyone to do is to really take a deep look at what you're really special at. It's the same thing we used to do when we used to develop products. Like, I mean, I've designed things that were like pens and chairs and things that there have been thousands of made, right? And I could come up with something original and an original way to position it. And people would talk about that. And they'd be like, this is the coolest pen I've ever seen. Or this is the best office chair I've ever sat in. Imagine that, right? So thinking about these things that we do again and again and again, and everybody does them the same, how are you standing out? Why would they choose you? So if you don't inject yourself in there and what is really, truly, and special you, then you're not setting yourself apart enough to have somebody do business with you. That means that you got to sell more. You got to work harder at it.
You do, but here's something that I had a discussion with the other day with someone is you have to know who you are in order to inject yourself in it. I know we're going to get really deep here, guys.
Really, really deep. Yeah.
You have no idea how many people will bring me a book and I'll say, who's your audience? And they'll say, oh, Jack Canfield's audience. It's like, no. That is his audience. And
Who's
you are not him. I know you think you're good, but you are not him. You are you. So you better know before you start injecting yourself in your marketing who you are, what you represent, and not copy other people, because all this sameness is coming from copying other people.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I mean, there's nothing to be found in but price wars. Like, this is what I know from being a commodity. There's nothing to be found but price wars and a race to the bottom. So it means that your business is short-lived, your pricing is short-lived, your programs, whatever they are short-lived, have a very short life cycle, which really means you have to push really hard. And so that to me is really, really the problem right there, that I don't want to do something that's not sustainable. I don't have time for that. It takes too much effort nowadays to market, to put myself in there, to record all the podcasts, to write all the materials, right? It takes to me just as long for me to copy and paste and then edit through as it does to inject myself into that. So now, while I love a framework, don't get me wrong, a good framework helps me figure out how I should write something. I learn from other people. I have a huge swipe file, which, by the way, we had this laugh aloud. Juliet, you know what a swipe file is, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Tom didn't know what a swipe file was in the office, and Alexandra and I berated him like there was no tomorrow. We were giving him such a hard time. But it turns out that our marketing director didn't know it either, had never heard the term before. And so I was like, how do people not know what that is? But it is this term of I'm actually saving somebody's email so that I can utilize it, so that I can copy it and use it in my next email, right? But I have a swipe file that is really my R&D file. And so it allows me to do research and development. It allows me to research and say, what are other people out doing so that I can do it differently, learn from what works, and then learn where I'm going to differentiate myself.
Okay. Scott Carson is over here saying, poor Tom.
I know. I feel bad for him.
Tony is like 100%, but I'm going to tell you, I don't keep swipe files, but I have a super secret email that I spy on my competitors with because I want to do different things. So I always know what they're up to so that I can figure out how to do it differently. So see, Scott, you can't say that I am stealing. I'm just sneaky.
Yeah. And so I actually do the same thing. I have an email that no one knows about that I use to register for other people's programs, and a fake name actually too, because my name's a little recognizable. But I watch it, but I always thought what happens to me, I'm like, this is what I don't want to do. Like 9 times out of 10, it is I don't want to do this.
Right.
There is hardly anything worth it at the end. That's what I really discovered. They're following a formula from somebody. And usually what happens is that if you don't follow the original source either, that's another thing that I'm big on original sources. If you don't follow the original source and you get farther and farther into it, it gets more and more bastardized, right? And it's really bad, right? And so now you're copying copy that doesn't even understand the intent of how it was written originally.
Right. So it's copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Yeah. That doesn't work.
Yeah, that doesn't work. Yeah.
And especially if you don't know what product that original was, because it may be way, way off base. I usually, when I write my copy, it's usually I'm sarcastic, then I give it to Tracy and she cleans it up and says, be real.
Well, but sarcasm is your thing. Like that's part of you. But see, like to me, it's not as hard for me to identify what your thing is. That's why my show is called The Binge Factor. That's why I do it, because I can see your thing. Like it was always my gift in the product world. I could see where its originality, where its gap was in the marketplace and where it belonged. And I could design into it and make it right. And so that has been my gift. And I am honored that that's my gift in the world, right? But I also deeply know who I am too. So it's not like I have that gap on myself, right? And so it's a lot easier for me to recognize that in other people is for everyone. But when I see you, I say, Juliet, you're sarcastic, but you know what really it is? You put hard truth out there. And so few people do that. They just want the business so badly. And you mentioned this to me earlier when we were talking about someone who was giving you quotes on something and pushing back and saying, oh, this isn't good enough. This format doesn't work. It doesn't sound right for an Audible book, right? For the recording for that. And so it needs to be redone. And we need to do it this way. And this is what it's going to cost. And so you don't know if they're being honest with you or if they're selling you. And that makes you not buy.
That's so true. Scott says, don't you hate those freebies offered like our 10 best email headlines or our 10 best funnels? Yeah. And you have no idea what they're for. What Tracy was talking about a minute ago is we were looking at some Audible editing, and these people came back and said that they had this ginormous price and they wanted our business, but they're the editor for Celine Dion. And all I could think of is it's a freaking Audible book. What do we need Celine Dion? We're not going to Vegas.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, really, too overdone. But that's the kind of thing is when your perspective is being twisted by the fact that you're pushing and selling, where Juliet will do the opposite. She'll say, I don't think I'm the coach for you, or I don't think I'm the right person to sell your book. That injection of doubt makes us sit back and think. And that's a valuable person to have in your arsenal. That's a valuable way to look at it. And so that's your selling point, right? And if you're not injecting that in your emails, in your funnels, in your copy, that if I took that out because I was trying to soften it, that's not right. So when I do it, I clarify, but I don't soften you because that would be wrong.
Right. Right. So you guys got that. That's my unique selling proposition.
That's right. I just gave it to Juliet.
I don't take clients. If I don't take you.
If you would like me to psychoanalyze your unique selling proposition, then please come see me. Right. What is that? What is that? How much is 5 cents? Right. That's what Lucy is. Right. On Charlie Brown. It's 5 cents for her to psychoanalyze you.
Oh, that's right. I need
to
5 cents.
Yeah. I'll open up a booth.
There you go. Open up a booth. I'll be laying down on the ground next to Charlie Brown.
That's right. You'll be like, oh my God, I'm overdone. Too much truth. Like, too much truth.
Right. Charlie Brown will be like, oh my God, now I have to leave and find a new one.
That's right. So anyway, but that's the kind of thing. It's like when you find that's your spice. Right? That's your uniqueness. That's what you add to the world. You know, I think that there's so much bland out there. There's so much noise. It's so hard to be seen, heard, found. Like I say that all the time, but a lot of it is you. You're not doing that. You're not pushing yourself in that hole. You're not owning that uniqueness.
Well, that's true. And that's one of my problems. You know, I always have a problem with this. People who want to be influencers. Like get a business first and then grow it and kind of grow into influencer status if you want. But just don't go out and like your whole thing is to be an influencer. When I see copy about that, I just want to die. Like, what's the business?
Like the 21-year-old life coach, as Scott's pointing out. Right.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. We should bring Scott on. Bring Scott on.
But you know what? There is a place and a thing that you can do along the way. Like, you know, I just coached someone who was thinking about starting a live stream show, and she's young. And I said, why don't you do it as an exploration? Why don't you just do it like people come along for the ride while I learn about this?
Scott, why are you putting things like douchepreneur? I don't even know
what is on your head.
The 21-year-old life coaches are douchepreneurs.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. What is that? It's kind of fading with your.
Okay, sorry, yeah, my green screen kicked in. I forgot I have my green screen. It is just a second here. Hang on here.
I'm like, what is that?
It's May the 4th be with you.
Oh, it's Yoda head.
Yoda hat.
Oh, that was the other thing I tweeted today. Now it makes sense. I tweeted May the 4th be with you because I wrote a couple articles about the various Star Wars-y type things. So I did tweet those articles out today. So those were positive.
Okay.
I didn't put all negative into Twitter today.
Never been a Star Wars fan ever.
Oh,
ever.
We're huge fans here. My youngest daughter, one of the first things she ever did was we were watching episode. Oh, I don't even know the number. I think 9. The one with Rey. And I'm seeing her and she's playing with this Lego pillar. It's like a pink pillar that you build princess towers with. And she's playing with it and she's on the ground and I hear her going, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. And I go, Vanessa, what are you doing? She goes, I'm being Rey. And she was like 3 years old. And I was like, oh, we have a converted one already.
Wow.
So we're big here.
So I had the, I'm trying to think, not Star Wars. What was the one from the 60s? Starfleet? Star Trek. I had Star Trekkies. My 2-year-old used to stand on his bed and do a Captain Picard, engage. And he would do that like all day, engage.
That's okay. You're mixing up all of them, but
I know. It wasn't Picard. I'm sure it was Picard. Anyway, it was
okay. That's a lot later.
I didn't like that either. So, you know, my whole family, Captain Kirk. There you go. Scott's got my back.
Oh, you were talking about Captain Kirk. Yeah. So, I really want a number 1. Like, wouldn't that be awesome if we had a number one, a person you can just go and engage and do it? Like, don't we all want number one?
Got it. Got it.
I'm not so good at. I'm not so good. I know I have trouble with that.
So we're spicing things up here. I just want to can we bring Tony on? Tony shows up every
Yes, let's
single
bring Tony on.
time. Let's bring Tony on.
You want to come on, Tony?
Come on, Tony.
Tony's got a podcast called Plant Problems, and he works in the cannabis industry. He's just awesome, and he is one of my favorite people to hang out with and talk to. And there he is. Oh, look, he's outside. Is the weather good in Colorado? Oh, you're muted.
You're muted. Yeah. He's in Colorado. He's my neighbor.
It's a little windy right now. I'm sitting on the patio. I try to watch you guys at the end of my day. So, yeah, it's beautiful right now. We're going from spring, summer the last few days, but so far so good. How are you?
Isn't that the Colorado charm? That it does that in the spring and in the fall, it kind of goes back and forth and back and forth.
Yeah, and of course the lockdown has shortened our outside time a lot, but we're taking advantage of it when we can. So
cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Where are you at in Colorado?
I'm in Denver.
You're in Denver. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm right outside Salt Lake. It's kind of the same. Like mornings are super cool, afternoons, and then it rains, and then it snows a little, and then it's spring again.
So Tony, how are you thinking about spicing your marketing up? What are you thinking? What's your thing?
I have, most people that know me, obviously, Tracy, but over the last year, I have just submerged myself into social media really deeply, and that has been quite a learning experience. And I take little tips from you guys on these weekly things, and I can use it with my I've got a virtual assistant that's helping me out with a lot of stuff. Sorry, it's a little windy, so I don't know how it's coming through.
You're fine.
You're okay.
But taking some of these tips and talking about her once a week and adding them into some of my social networking when I'm either doing article comments or I'm trying not to focus too much on what other people are doing, like you said, because I'm trying to cultivate my own personality on it, so I don't get too much of an influence of what other people are doing. So it seems to be coming out slowly now. I'm finding that I appreciate LinkedIn. That's where I spend most of my time, such as you do, Tracy, and I find that's really good for cannabis transactional discussions, and I'm starting to get feedback, so I feel like I'm doing something right. So.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like when you find your first amount, especially when you start a new show or something, when you find where you're resonating and where you're also really good at replying to it, feels comfortable for you, that's the place you just dive deeper in, because you're going to get more of the audience. You're going to start to learn more. And that's where you'll get the great feedback about what to do, where the others, a little too much noise in the beginning, like, everybody's telling you what to do. Too many cooks in the kitchen, right?
Exactly. It was funny you brought up your best. I had my best interview last week, I feel like, anyway. So I definitely resonated with that. I was like, I somehow, and this was a complete stranger, but somehow we were just able to click, and I've been using some new techniques that I've been learning with Bill Sturley, and we've been practicing on that. So it's coming around. It's taken me 40 episodes to really figure it out, but I've got so much more to learn. But taking some of these little tips from you guys, that's why I enjoy listening to you both, because I can pick out, one or two little things that I can be like, all right, I can just tweak the knob a little this way, and I can tweak it that way. And so it's been really helpful in that aspect for my business at this point.
Oh, that makes me feel so good. How about you, Juliet? Thank you, Tony.
Our one listener. No. I appreciate that. Hey, so you have your podcast with the hazards. Do you post your blog over as an article every week on LinkedIn?
Well, yeah, not on, depends. I've been doing posts through Facebook, and we're also boosting on Facebook, depending on what works. What I've started doing is doing little internal posts and seeing who gets attracted to those. And then if I like those, I'll take and I'll boost those out in Facebook, and I'll turn it into an ad. The biggest thing that's worked well for me, and I told Tracy this a couple weeks ago, was the trailer that I did for the podcast. I was getting a lot more traffic just to the website, and finding out that that little 90 seconds really started turning up everything for me. So I started getting touches on that, and some of them were bots. I've had a lot of bots, but still I was driving traffic in there where I get 2-3 minutes, sometimes 7 minutes, 8 minutes. And the sharing side of sharing with finding the right guests that will share your episodes, and I'm being more active in making sure they know that it's coming out and that they need to share. And so that's been huge for me too.
Yeah. Some really good things. I mean, this is all going to come. Your show's really still early on, considering, it feels like you've been working on it for a while, but it's still early on, and it'll like settle into a really great rhythm and space and things. And, Juliet's referring to doing LinkedIn articles, which are, they're long, they're like blogs in LinkedIn.
Oh, okay.
But I don't suggest you do them initially. Like, get yourself settled into a place, find out what's working with your audience, and then you'll be able to do the ones that are the most important, because it is a little cumbersome over on LinkedIn, because you can't have an assistant go in and do it for you, so, or you'll get shut down. So, there's a little bit of that doesn't always work as easily. So on LinkedIn, I'm always a little bit slower with the recommendations for you. So that one would come in the near future when you're doing really well there, and you're like, what's next? Like, we get to grow level.
And I have to go in. I will say I do it every Monday morning, just because I don't remember throughout the week. And I do have to do it manually. You can't use a Hootsuite or something like that to post an article. So it can be a little time consuming on it. Does Scott want to share at all what he's doing marketing wise? Or did he just, he did. Oh, no hat.
Oh, he took the hat off. We took Yoda's ears off.
Well, now
we're going to no longer wise.
I was going to say, now we're going to demote you. No.
Now I can see the green a little clearer. Now it's more clearly Yoda. I see it now.
Okay. Yeah.
I wasn't going to put green face paint on, but I thought about it. But I said they would. Somebody I put this one time said, "Oh, hey, it's Shrek."
I thought you were at first.
I love it.
So I slowed down in my episodes in April because I saw a big dip and trying to see where they were revamping back up here and maybe restarting. But I just was looking at my numbers from last month, and the downloads were down, obviously, because we didn't have as many new episodes, but our listener base in our radio stations was up even greater than it's been. We had our biggest month on our listener on the radio station. Was kind of surprising. But I like the transcription side of things, and I just think the best thing is taking and just being consistent, obviously. But we've been working on a ebook, taking some of our best episodes or transcriptions of our most beloved episodes and adding those into and creating a book to go along with a couple other things with what we're doing this month. So that's one thing. As the market's changing in our niche, distressed debt, we're taking interviews from some of our investors and taking some new training that we did, a one-day training, which was really good aspect. That was a really big boost in April. Because we have normally a 3-day training we do live, but we said, let's do a one-day, like a Cliff Notes version for like 8 hours and drop the price down. And we had a huge sign up. We had about 110 people sign up in April, and we had 53 of them show up to the one-day training, and then 85 have watched the replays total. And that's led to signups for our 3-day workshops and our products that we don't do a heavy push on, like Tracy was saying. We do it very light. Hey, if you want to sign up for it, great. If you're not going to fit this, please don't. Save your time, save your money, and seeing as we have stuff scheduled throughout the rest of the summer on those different events.
But everything that you do, Scott, always has your personality in it. Like, it permeates everything. And I think that's really the thing, is like your personality also invites engagement, and that's why it works, right? That's why people are like, they're there and they're not going to not participate. You attract people who want to participate,
because he's a total giver. And when I say that, I'm not being sarcastic.
It's true.
Just gives.
Well, tomorrow's Cinco de Mayo, everybody. So look for the sombrero tomorrow. Okay.
Okay.
We'll check you out tomorrow. So.
and that's the thing, is I think so many people, marketers, get so used to being, I've got to be this like stiff version of myself. I got to be very professional all the time. And I'm like, screw that. I purposely don't want to wear a tie to the office. I'm going to be myself. But that's okay. Share, Yoda. I got this. I saw this on a Disney cruise ship and stuff. I get to beat some like 8-year-old off with it because it was the last one. It's Heisman.
Stole it from an 8-year-old?
I'm just joking. But when I see stuff
I wouldn't
like
be surprised.
Yeah, right?
exactly. Steph actually beat the kid for it. Okay?
That's right. That's what I would.
I can see that. She's really compassionate with animals, but not kids. No.
No, like, But being yourself, I mean, that's the thing. I look at the holidays. What's going on? How can we make fun of ourselves or joke about things? I look at we're dying to go back to the movies because I like lost half my inspiration because I haven't look at good movies all the time.
Oh my gosh, yes, I agree. Well, guys, thanks for coming on and sharing some of those things. And we just appreciate the uniqueness that you do. You guys could not be more polar opposite in the way that you run your shows and personality. And so I think it's really great that the two of you are on, because Tony's like very zen about it and really calm and methodical, and Scott's like, let's try it, right? And like enthusiastic and exuberant. And I love that. Like, I can appreciate, and I think people can appreciate both. So it doesn't narrow your audience to be you. It just makes us love you more. Right?
No, you're 100% right. I think that, we appeal to different crowds, all of us do, and you're only going to appeal to so many people at once, but it doesn't have to be a lot if you have quality content. If you've got, I know Tracy, if you've got those 100 podcasters that are just engaging all the time, and you have 300 that you're dealing with, but if you got those 100, you put stuff out there, people just suck it right up.
Oh, I total agree. You got to put it out there. I heard our friends Joe Fear and Matt Wolf talk about their top 100 people they wanted to interview, and they shared it out there, and they were for like 35 spots. Well, I have a connection to, speaking of Captain Kirk, William Shatner, and was able to put him in with our friend Deanna Rogers from Traffic Conversion, who knows Shatner getting booked on. But I reached out to some people on the other day. I said, one of my favorite guys I used to study with a lot and listen when I was going through tough times was Mark Victor Hansen. All right. Co-author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I've met Jack Canfield, but I have never had a chance. And I was like, I'd love to have my podcast. Well, lo and behold, a friend of mine that had my podcast reached out, hey, would you like to have Mark Victor Hansen on? I'm like, yes, done.
Oh, I should have asked you. So Mark Victor Hansen is publicly pushing his new book, Ask, out there. And I had him on my show, and he said, who else do you know that would like me to be on their show? And I should have thought of you, Scott. I'm sorry I didn't. But anyone else who would like to, I'm happy to connect you. So just message me on Facebook. I'm happy to connect you up. And you, Juliet, are on my list. I just haven't sent the intro yet. I'm doing like one a week with him because he gets a little overwhelmed. So
his book is called Ask. Isn't that the name of Ryan Levesque's last book?
It's got more than that. I forget what it is. There's more than that just in the title, but yeah.
Okay.
So and he co-authored it with his wife Crystal, who's amazing. I did a co-interview with the two of them. She was just brilliant. I loved interviewing her. So,
hey, Tony, yeah. I was watching Bill Maher a couple weeks ago. He had Willie Nelson on a Zoom call. You might want to reach out to his ranch here about an hour away and see if he'd be interested in being an interview on him.
Tony?
What?
Are you talking? Is that for Tony?
Yeah, Willie Nelson. Come on.
Willie Nelson, yeah.
He's got his own brand of cannabis that he's been pushing for the last couple of years, but that would be pretty amazing. I don't know. I'm thinking, have I built myself up to that stamina yet? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I've noticed with celebrities. So
yeah, well, yeah, sometimes it does. You're absolutely right about that. We've talked about that.
Yeah, and you have to pick and choose the ones that really want to serve and the ones that are all about themselves. I used to sell houses in LA, and believe me, they're not all that cracked up.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks so much for coming on. Appreciate it. Take care. And thanks for being fans. We appreciate that. It makes it worth it for us to come on, right, Juliet?
I know. I'm so sorry. We miss Paul's on every week too, but he jumped off.
He missed off.
All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye. So, bye, everybody.